Hi, and welcome to a new episode of the Luxembourg PE VC Stories. Today's guest will be Sabrina El Abbadi, Head of Luxembourg at Tikehau Capital, and also Edouard Chatenoud, Head of Benelux. Welcome.
Hello, thank you very much, Stefan, for hosting us today.
Thank you very much, Stefan, for having us today.
It's a real pleasure. So, what can you tell us about Tikehau Capital? How, who, and when did that whole adventure start?
So, Tikehau Capital is an investment company that was created in 2004 with only 4 million euros of share capital. Right now, the firm is an asset manager listed in Paris Stock Exchange with 38 billion euros of assets under management, 14 offices globally, and active through 4 asset classes. Right now, Tikehau Capital represents a nice success story with a nice track record also. And we keep expanding with a very nice pace on our various verticals and our various geographies. What sets us apart, I think, is a very strong alignment of interest. Today, the management controls 56% of the listed entity, which means the company is still run and operated by its founders, and also a lot of money at risk. From the team, the management, but also the team through our various vehicles. This sets us apart from our peers of the industry. And to give you a few data points, in our latest private equity firm called Tikehau, we invested 100 million euro through our balance sheet in a 1 billion euro fund. So it's not a small alignment of interest.
That's what you really call a success story and skin in the game. You mentioned the different verticals. Can you be a little bit more precise concerning those? And what are your favorite investments? And finally, how do you source such deals?
Okay. Right now, I take this one, Sabrina, if it's okay. We have 4 verticals, 4 asset classes. 3 of them are in the unlisted world, so private equity, private debt, real estate. Which we call real assets. And then we have the liquid strategies, exposure to the liquid market on both equities and bonds, which give us an exposure to both private and public markets. Talking about the verticals, we build through the private equity, but also through the other expertise, kind of niches where we are very active. To name a few, I mentioned one already, which is the energy transition, with huge gap to finance. And here we are in the impact space with already 2 billion euros of assets exposed to this space. So energy transition, we announced at the end of last year partnership with Unilever and AXA in order to develop a fund dedicated to finance the regenerative agriculture, which is the second vertical. And then 2 other important ones, which are also part of what we call giga trends on the aerospace and cybersecurity fronts. These are 4 verticals we are active in on top of our various asset classes. Because, for example, when you talk about private debt, it's also a kind of a niche, much larger, obviously, but already we are active in a space that is not so huge, where we are financing, where we are backing people in order to deploy money in a dedicated space.
These are very interesting sectors. And how did you, for example, find those target investments?
So usually at Tikehau, we are sticking to a 5% target ratio. So we are doing roughly 5% of what we do, and we intend to keep this ratio that demonstrate that we are, even if we are expanding, we still remain very selective. And that's the reason why we are expanding geographically with 14 geographies. and we have one of our motto is good deals have no wheels. So we think it's very important to be on the ground locally. We've been developing the Benelux for the past 8 years now, and we are expanding our number of deals, but keeping the same selectivity ratio. How do we seize opportunities? Obviously, we are active in the kind of mid-cap world, investment from 10 to 200 million euro, let's say. It can be less, can be more. And here, we used to say it's very easy to borrow money from your bank in order to finance a flat. It's pretty easy. Well, it used to be pretty easy for a large corporate to get money from the financial market. But in between, it's a bit more complex. And this is the space we like to entertain. And this is where we find opportunities. We remain selective. We speak to lawyers, we speak to managers, we speak to families, we speak to entrepreneurs. And here, we think that at the end, with our funds, with our various vehicles, we keep some attractivity in order to get new opportunities all the time.
And based on this expertise and methodology, any specific deal you would like to highlight?
We financed a few weeks ago in March for the fourth time a private equity company called Waterland. We helped them to finance the acquisition of Elk, which is a company in the Netherlands active within the servicing to real estate. Especially on the social housing part, in order to help them to decarbonize. And this is roughly 60 million euros deployed from Tikehau with an impact angle and backing for the first time a very important player of the area named Waterland.
Very good. Could you share also a little bit more details concerning your operations? How many offices do you have? Where are you located? And what about Luxembourg?
Well, as Edouard already said, Tikehau has now a presence in 14 countries across Europe, Asia and the Americas, so the United States and also Canada. As part of the globalization of Tikehau strategy, we became more and more international in the past years, and we received more and more questions from clients asking to set up Luxembourg entities. So today we have more than 50 investment funds in Luxembourg, and it has been decided in 2019 to set up this Luxembourg branch. Our strategy and ambitions for Luxembourg are really strong. We would like to become a real local financial player in the place, and also to create a local team composed of experts in order to improve the management of our Luxembourg structures, and also to coordinate all the deals involving Luxembourg as SPVs or having a Luxembourg aspect. We have also a lot of partners in Luxembourg. Maybe Edouard, you can give us a few
thank you, Sabrina.
words about that.
A few years ago, we onboarded our long-standing partner now called La Luxembourgeoise, who is a well-known institution here. And we have François Poli among our international advisory board globally. So François is supporting our efforts to develop our various businesses and various geographies. And separately, we had earlier this year, we announced to the market that Alexandre Van Damme, through his holding company SFI, invested 400 million euros within Tikehau Group, which is made through a Luxembourg vehicle. That's why I'm mentioning this. Separately, obviously, we are having discussions with various business people here in Luxembourg, and also on the distribution side, if you want, regarding the various financial institutions that are right now already distributing our various products through their Luxembourg platforms.
And the AUM in Luxembourg now represents more than 1 billion assets under management. So it's quite important for us, and trying to keep it in mind and to increase as much as we can. Maybe a bit more about our team in Luxembourg. We are now 5 employees, 5 experts working on legal aspects only for the moment, so assisting us on the deals, assisting on the structuring of the different investment funds in Luxembourg, coordinating with the service providers, with the law firms, and we are now also contemplating to add new services like domiciliation services, administration services, fund operations as well. So also very important for us. So just the beginning of the story, and hopefully we will meet in a few days, months, years, and tell you more about this branch. Maybe also something about our real estate investment strategy. As you may already know, Tikehau's trademark is to find undervalued real estate assets in order to bring them back to the forefront. So we might be also interested in finding real estate investments in Luxembourg in the future. So happy and open to receive any proposal to this end.
And what happened over the 2 last years within Tikehau and also in the industry?
Well, over the past 2 years, we came back to a new normal with indeed inflation and the raise of interest rate. As you may have noticed during the past decade, in fact, we've been evolving in a very strange environment with a negative interest rate. Here we are a bit back to normal, which is, we believe, obviously, the landing of the economy might be in some space brutal, but on the other hand, we believe there are, let's say, a new way to be nimble and to select opportunities. Once again, we need to work hard and in order to deliver performance. So we are still working very hard in order to remain very selective, to deliver yields to our investor. Separately, the other thing that happened, especially within our firm, is our, let's say, focus on impact and also as a key player to the society. We announced 1.5 years ago in Belgium that we were selected in order to manage the Belgian Recovery Fund, Belgian Resilience Fund, in order to finance SMEs with the support of the local federal states and private institutions. We believe Tikehau as an asset manager is at cross borders in between companies, in between financial institutions, in between lawyers, bankers, entrepreneurs, and we have the chance, let's say, to channel part of the savings, the global savings, in order to support local economy, local businesses, having a positive impact, once on decarbonization, the other day on biodiversity, and the other day just supporting local SMEs, providing new employment.
And we also persuaded that with strong fundamentals and also a robust model like yours, that I mean the next months and years will also be that successful too.
Let's say that the business model is pretty robust. We need to fuel it, if we may say, in order to have strong partners, to have strong investors, to have nice investment cases, and we will continue to support this virtuous cycle with a model benefiting to many parts.
Concerning ESG, since you also talked and highlighted a few of the verticals going a little bit in that direction, so do you have a strategy policy, and how important is it for Tikehau?
Definitely yes. The need to move to a sustainable growth model has never been so pressing. So ignoring this would be losing the license to operate in the future, regardless of the sector of the industry you're working in. With our entrepreneurial DNA, we anticipate tomorrow's need and design relevant financing solutions to accelerate positive transformation in society. Tikehau Capital has been primed by several prizes. For example, the Private Debt Investor magazine has awarded Tikehau Capital Responsible Investor of the Year, Europe 2022, for its ESG approach in private debt for the second year in a row. And more than a commitment, we are taking concrete actions at Tikehau level. For example, 20% of our employees' variable compensation is linked to climate and human resources target. Second, we have launched a sustainability and impact platform in 2020 to help to speed up the necessary transitions. This platform focuses in 4 thematics. You have decarbonization, nature and biodiversity, cybersecurity, and resilience. Today, this platform has reached 2.3 billion assets under management regarding just the climate change and the biodiversity, and we contemplate to double it by 2025.
And I think, thank you, Sabrina. I think just to add on what our investment philosophy is and what is our view regarding ESG, it's a bit more than let's say something nice to have. It's really at the very heart of our strategy, and to make it very simple, we've been pretty ahead of the curve on this space, deploying massive amounts on the energy transition, especially in the private equity space. We also have a strong vision that we want to deploy money with a financial performance in order to create a virtuous circle with our LPs, with the companies we are financing, and with performance, which create a virtuous circle in order to deploy and allocate more money dedicated to energy transition or biodiversity. This is something we've been pretty strong on over the past 5 years, and we will continue. Obviously, the idea is right now to accelerate. We are a large firm with our 38 billion euro, but still a tiny investment company within the very large ones that are global. So our view is, and our ambition is to accelerate this investment, let's say, pace towards the ESG philosophy.
Yes, this topic is definitely very important for the group, and we suggest to set up maybe another interview with our experts in ESG in the coming month, for example, to discuss this topic deeper.
With great pleasure. Let's do that together. Now, concerning your, let's say, more personal career path, what did you study actually? Where did you start your career, and how did you enter private equity?
You want us to start? Very classical education for me. I'm French, so I started to study law at the University of Burgundy, and then decided to specialize in business law. So I got a master's degree at the University of Aix-en-Provence, and then, boring I am, I decided to pass the bar exam and to start my career in Paris in the financial departments of international law firms.
It's a good choice, honestly. And yourself, Edouard?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I studied in business school at EDEC and then at LSE in London. And then I joined Tikehau for an internship in 2005. So it was still a very tiny company. But there was this opportunity, which I seized, and here we are.
Well done. You had a good nose and intuition here. It was a very interesting timing. What would be the advice you would like to share with some talents who would like to enter the field themselves?
I would have 2 different advices to give to young talents who would like to succeed. The first one would be to be curious, just to ask questions, to keep learning, and to diversify your different experiences. So try different departments, try different firms in order to find the right one in the company in which you will feel the best. And this is really important to be happy at work today. So first, maybe to be curious. The second advice I would give is a famous one for our founders, is connecting the dots. Just go outside, network, connect people, connect ideas, connect interests, connect needs. And this will also help you to rise up and to become a leader in the future.
Excellent. Edouard?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I will also select two. One very important piece of advice that provided one of the two founders to me is a job you do whatever you do, you want with it. So it's in your hands to develop yourself, to seize opportunities, to grow, to do new things. I think, say it differently, you at the very end, each individual work for himself, for his own brand, his own reputation, and his own performance. So I think it's very important to find a nice place where you can develop yourself and also work hard in order to provide the best of yourself in a great environment. So I think this is something very important. And separately, you mentioned connect the dots, Sabrina. I think another way to say it is be outside, be curious. This is what you mentioned, Sabrina, but be outside. Nothing will happen behind your desk. You need to be in the train, in the restaurant, in meetings, and speak to people, which could be people from outside the private equity world, but people you are spending time with, being outside.
We also believe hugely on, let's say, the alignment of interests, and also to have some engagement, some passion, and certainly learning a lot, let's say, during your career. That's good. Any now reference, be it a book, a TV series, music, anything you'd like to share with our audience, which you like to do? It can be professional, but can also be a little bit more personal.
Would you like to take it first, or?
Please.
Okay, so I selected something I have discovered a few weeks ago. It's more a professional one, and it's a podcast, because I do not have a lot of time since I'm a mom for a few years now. The name is Think Like an Owner. It's a private equity podcast. I don't know if you have already heard about it, but really interesting, because you have discussions with CIOs, business owner, private investor, and they are talking about their experiences, the use of debt, the CEO incentive models, and the lessons they get from their different experiences. And I think it is really important to open your mind to other processes, to other ways to succeed, and definitely give you this podcast.
A good take for our playlist. And on your side, Edouard?
Well, two books, pretty well known, but pretty important also, because in the investment world, we need to a bit think by ourselves. We need to have proprietary ideas, and we can't be only advised by external people or even by the media. But two books that I think are very interesting in order to understand where we stand, where we are as a human being. So one very well known is Sapiens from Harari, and the second one is The World Without End from Blin and Jancovici, where we understand what do we face in terms of challenges as the humankind. And I think that's why I mentioned these two books. We are right now at a very specific point of our history, and I think we might have to face challenges, and maybe if we could be active in solving some of them, would be very important.
Those famous inflection points. Okay, great. Thanks a lot, Sabrina and Edouard, for joining us today. It was really a pleasure. And as we then heard, we will see you again for the other interviews with the LPA, and then wish you lots of successes for the future.
Thank you very much, Stefan.
Thank you, Stefan.